Now we have Chris in here today to talk about all things weather. Now, Chris, lots going on. Here, of course, we also want to talk about Hurricane Melissa. Where do you want to start?
Let's go with Melissa, just because we do have something pretty crazy with the newest update. It was looking like this was going to be the case, so I'm actively updating this graphic as we go. So before, it was the eighth spot that I had a Melissa throughout much of the morning. It was 901 millibars. So the lower that these low pressure systems go, the stronger that they get. And we now have bumped Katrina down to 9. Camille is one of the worst that we've ever seen. Just beat out Milton, where Melissa dropped down to 896 millibars. So now is the 5th strongest hurricane ever in Atlantic history.
That's
so
huge.
Before we were mentioning, this is potentially could be one of the stronger October ones. This could be one of the strongest or the strongest that Jamaica's ever seen. Well, the problem is it hasn't weakened at all. And we now are up to 180 miles per hour. It was at 175 for the longest time. There was a lot of reconnaissance. I was actually surprised by the 8 o'clock update. I thought it was going to go up to 180. Yesterday, I was here in the studios thinking they could go up to 170. It continues to exceed the bounds that it potentially can reach. That's why yesterday, aircraft reconnaissance, they will say that they would rather fly through a Category 5 than a tropical storm, because a tropical storm is unpredictable and has a lot of turbulence. The avenues around a Category 5 are much easier to fly in. They had to bail because of the turbulence in the southwestern quadrant, meaning it was so unstable, it's almost like an engine idling because it's reaching its maximum. That's exactly what's happening here. So it's moving at 7 miles per hour, and this absolute monster is now even closer, and it's moving towards a place called Treasure Beach. And the sad thing is really taking the humanistic approach. I was looking at some of the businesses that are around there, and a lot of them I don't think are going to be there anymore.
Just by the structure of them, or
no,
just the location?
So, for instance, if you haven't seen it before, go to Google and type in Mexico Beach Hurricane Michael. That's where winds are 160 miles per hour. This is 20 miles per hour more. And once you get to this spectrum, wind damage exponentially increases. So what you saw in Mexico Beach, it completely wiped out that portion of it. Julie, are you doing that right now?
Yeah, both Carlene and I are looking. I mean, that's just complete devastation.
And that was 160 miles per hour. It actually made landfall as 155, and they got upgraded to 160. So that's putting it in perspective. And so that's some of the better built infrastructure. A lot of these are little shanties. There's a little place that I saw. It's called the Magic Tree. It's this beautiful little tree that actually sits out in one of the jetties there that people take pictures with. I'm not sure if that's going to be there anymore. There's literally going to be on the eastern side of this eye wall that's heading right towards Black River. And when I say Treasure Beach, this right here, that's a little alcove. That's where everything is headed. So it looks like, really, I would say over the next 2 to 3 hours, we're officially going to have landfall, where previously it was Hurricane Gilbert that was the strongest storm that we've ever had in Jamaican history. That was 1988. It did move from the east to the west, so the eye wall covered much more of the country. Well, this time it's 40 miles per hour stronger. And one thing that really kind of makes me sick to my stomach is one thing that happened here was when Helene rolled through. Helene, we keep saying Hurricane Helene, which is right. It was Hurricane Helene. But we got Tropical Storm Helene, truly. It was leftover tropical storm winds at that point. But the problem is, the further you go up in height, the stronger the winds get because there's less friction. Well, there's parts of Jamaica that go up to 4,000 to 7,000 feet. So, as this makes landfall, I purposely turned on the topography. What you're going to see is our current reading is 180 miles per hour, 215 mile per hour gusts. Some of those mountaintops that are receiving 3 to 4 inches of rain with wind gusts over 200 miles per hour, I would not be surprised. So you have that going on. You have the storm surge. So you have multiple mudslides, landslides. It's the whole western side of Jamaica that's absolutely going to get pummeled. That I can say, and I don't like to say it, that there's parts of Jamaica that in 12 hours are never going to be the same.
Even looking at this graphic,
Terrifying.
is terrifying.
Yeah.
How quick those arrows are moving, and I know that's just an animated graphic to try and show what's going to happen here, but watching you break it down, at this level is just, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is this is also a storm that's starting to pick up the pace, but at that point it was the perfect storm to the point that it was moving so slow that it literally was waiting for like the right conditions. And now this is the 5th lowest barometric pressure. This is now going to be tying the likes of other ones like Irma that are historic, and I'll actually bring that up in a sec. But then on the back side of this, so look at the time, about 1 p.m. I think realistically we're going to see landfall by the late morning and early to mid-afternoon. It's going to exit right around Montego Bay. That's one of the more populated areas. I really hope to God a lot of people cleared more towards the east. And the reason why I say that is, check this out. This is the tropical storm force winds. So that yellow is wind gusts up to about 39, 40. Once you get to 39, you're talking about tropical storm force. The red is the hurricane force winds. So they're much smaller. And then there's even a smaller little pinpoint right around the eye wall that whenever you hear that 175, 180, that literally is the right sliver of the eye wall. It's not widespread. That's the only silver lining here. So you want to kind of go to a non-populated area. I guarantee places like the Treasure Beach, they've been evacuated. Everything in the western side, I know a lot of the coastal lines have been evacuated. Because if they move to the east, we're going to be looking at a lot at Kingston. Kingston is not good. They're receiving a lot of rain. The right side is still tremendous amount of rain. Flooding is bad. But they're not going to receive the winds. Earlier, it was looking like it was mainly going to be just a rain event, Melissa dance around, and there could be more Cuba. That's the problem. Cuba, actually, later on tonight, is going to have a landfalling either Category 5 or strong Category 4. So we've been so focused on Jamaica, but the eastern side of Cuba is going to have one of their strongest landfalls.
I have a question, Chris.
Yes.
Just from a perspective of, when I'm someone not an expert in weather, obviously, when I hear about hurricanes, usually once they make landfall, it gets, less strong.
Down.
It
Yeah.
slows down. But you're saying it might hit Cuba but close to the same strength. Is that because Jamaica is such a small island? Okay.
It wasn't enough. And then the thing is, if it was moving at 2 miles per hour like it was, the mountains would cut up a lot of it. It's actually the mountains that are over like Hispaniola. They're known as like hurricane killers because they're much taller. But I actually had a good question by one of our producers, and was like, well, is there like anything that could stop it or slow it down, such as land? And I said, at this point, it would be like you standing on I-77 trying to stop a semi. There's nothing that can stop this. So it's exactly it. And all these waters are well above the average ocean heat they should. So believe it or not, the ocean waters are much warmer, and hurricanes want to intensify. That's what they have. And then once they get the right conditions, nothing's stopping this one. Oftentimes, they'll go into what's called the eye wall recirculation cycle, or eye wall replacement cycle as it's actually named. Well, that is going to attempt to happen. I think the eye wall is going to start to close in a little bit, but it's not going to weaken enough. Since it starts moving faster, that's still going to keep it together as it moves towards Cuba. And then you're still going to have hurricane force winds later on tomorrow afternoon in the Bahamas. And then you almost have it right over Bermuda after that. So I'm going to dial this back. I'm going to show you the exact track from the National Hurricane Center, and which, by the way, I want to show you kind of behind the scenes. This is the reason why I was surprised the 8 o'clock update didn't go up to 180 miles per hour. What you're looking right here is the first run that they did through the overnight. They're actually showing some peak winds about 200. Those are likely some wind gusts. But the secondary one, I know this is a little crazy information, but if you look closely, you're seeing 180 there. You're seeing pressure levels right around 900. That was earlier this morning. So there were indications that parts of the hurricane were indeed already up to 180 miles per hour. And we're kind of at the closing hours, so I don't really see it getting any stronger than this, but it's still absolutely astronomical. All right, so let's. This is the official forecast by the National Hurricane Center. It's actually having by 2 o'clock that we're starting to see this Category 5 exit from Jamaica. And then you can see that it makes landfall about 140 miles per hour over here in Cuba. So I think it's going to be anywhere from 140 to 150, depending on how fast it moves. It's kind of a saving grace it's moving so fast, because if it was a slow turner, it would be kind of like Dorian. But it still could hold as a Category 2 strength as it passes by the Bahamas. There's nothing like the United States is a huge hunk of land. So that's what you need. These islands it passes by, it still has warm waters. And then it's still going to keep about hurricane strength as well. And it's just just going to be flying. So that's the only thing that happened. Melissa, all she needed to do was several days ago when she was encountering wind shear in the wrong conditions is something to push it out. Then it would have been a big rain event, and this wouldn't have happened. That if you give a system like this a long enough time to develop in the warmest part of the Caribbean, this is going to happen. And that's where we've had some of the worst storms. And speaking of, so Katrina is a name that we know so much. It is absolutely astronomical. And Katrina, by the way, people don't realize, made landfall as a Category 3. So Category 3 is about 125. Now we can officially say that Melissa hit a stronger peak for pressure-wise and then also wind-wise. So I didn't have enough time to update because it literally happened. Now 180 miles per hour matches Mitch, which Mitch, by the way, killed about 19,000 people in Honduras. That one is absolutely historical. You have Rita, Irma. Irma hit 180 miles per hour, knocked out 95% of the houses in Barbuda, the island of Barbuda. And then Milton, as we know, made landfall and was one of the quickest rapid intensifications we've ever seen. So that means it is now a 5-way tie for 180 miles per hour. So Melissa is, we keep even say is the strongest hurricane that Jamaica's ever seen, will be one of the strongest that Cuba's ever seen, and for sure one of, or at least in the top 5 to top 10 strongest hurricanes we have ever seen in the history dating back to 1850.
When you put it into perspective of it was so close to not happening, I think that is really what's going to grip people, is that this is like, it literally is perfect storm. It requires all these elements, but when it gets a chance to develop like that, I mean, what else could I know?
Yeah, and that's the thing, is like there's been a few times that this is, I'm usually happy-go-lucky, Chris, and
Yeah.
I've sat in silence several times. I'm usually jamming out to music and just realizing, and I hate this, people are gonna die.
Yeah.
We have, people on the ground posting about their experiences, and they didn't. I mean, it's such a small island that there's only so many airplanes.
only places you can go.
Only so many places you can go. I mean, we've known about the fact that this might be this strong for a couple days now, and the people that wanted to get out couldn't.
Yeah.
And that's what's so upsetting too.
And that was also the other thing is, I think the best example is Katrina. Katrina didn't kill all those people. It was the levees breaking.
Correct.
And a lot of those people didn't have the financials to even leave.
Right.
And especially for the western side of Jamaica, like Montego Bay is okay, but this is one of the more rural parts. Like, I know we keep on bringing up Kingston. Kingston's essentially getting tropical storm force winds and a lot of flooding. And I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it's not going to be as life-threatening as what you have here. I still think you could have deaths around there as far as flash flooding, and I hate talking about this, but to the west over there, a lot of people don't have the means to go all the way to Kingston, or where are they going to stay, or know anyone, or it's also a lot of mountains over there. Imagine people that are living up there. It's just staggering. Yeah.
The island's only so big.
Yeah, this is one situation on Friday. It was a tropical storm, and I was just hoping something would get better, but literally everything leading up to its landfall, which is going to happen here in the next couple of hours, it just keeps getting worse. And it's at this point, all you can do is pray, because you really can't do much outside of that. And I'll show you one more look. There's Category 5s, and then there's storms like these. The max that we've ever had in the Caribbean and the Atlantic, as I just was showing you, is 180 to 190 miles per hour. So what you're looking at right now, and look at things even changed from when I was first showing you. So let's do a new measurement. Hold on. Oh man, yeah. This is the most eerie thing, is what you're doing is you're just ticking. It's a ticking time bomb. So now you have about 20 miles until you even get the worst of the worst. Truly, it's the eastern side of that. So let me see, 7 miles per hour, so yeah, at least 2.5 hours, I think, that we're looking at for absolute landfall. And then right in the middle, it's calm, but it's on those edges. That's where you're going to have that devastation, like what happened in Mexico Beach, what happened in parts of Barbuda. I'm just hoping that as many people as possible. I'm hoping the totals are low. Gilbert killed 45 to 49 people. That's the range that they give. But yeah, I'm hoping that the fatalities are low. But this is the type of situation that this is ungodly. It's frightening, plain and simple.
I'm with you too. I'm just kind of at a loss for words here. I mean, all we can do is just watch it happen, which is upsetting.
Yeah. Well, so at that point, might as well, I guess, let's go to break.
I agree with
and
that.
then we'll come back and we'll talk about our weather forecast. There's nothing close to this, but in the meantime, prayers for people in Jamaica, surrounding areas, Cuba. They're going to be impacted by Hurricane Melissa.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, we appreciate you, breaking this down for us, because I know it's heartbreaking. It's tough, but it's important to know. So.